1. Introduction. ROSEP. The United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only. For home building and furniture building. For just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree, but it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lungs, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom, the eco-design wood stove, and international convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. ROSEP. Purple air PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.
Hi, my name is Lily. Andrew gave you the intro to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates and their concern for air pollution from indoor residential wood burning. Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, or ROSEP, would like every near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner whose wood smoke enters their yards and sickens the near neighbors to have a purple air PM 2.5 monitor hanging from the eaves of their home to measure the level of PM 2.5 entering their yards. That measurement of air pollution should be used as evidence of unnecessary air pollution, and each indoor residential wood burner should be shut down based on that evidence, one indoor residential wood burner at a time if necessary. The presentation by Andrew ended at 2 minutes 5 seconds. The same presentation by Emma starts at 2 minutes 3 seconds before the end of this podcast. So I am Lily, your timekeeper, and you can start the next podcast at 2 minutes 5 seconds in if you would not like to see the presentation by Andrew a second time. This presentation by me, Lily, ends at 5 minutes in. What you will see in the main content of this ROSEP podcast will be news about air pollution from indoor residential wood burning and how that air pollution is being combated by ordinary people just like you who are unfortunately near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners at this time. There will also be news about unnecessary and highly polluting use of wood as fuel in industrial wood burners and preventable air pollution from wood burning wildfires. There will also be news about air pollution from PM 2.5 from gas-powered cars. There will also be news about airborne diseases which are also preventable with vaccines such as COVID-19 and measles and whooping cough, to name just a few. In 2025, Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates is also concerned with combating the Trump destruction of government funding for programs which protect human health through the Department of Health and Human Services, and Trump destruction of programs which fund the science and medical research plan to protect human health from preventable illnesses. Protecting human health is a patriotic act, and our defense against enemies is weakened if we are not as healthy as we can be. Heat pump rebates are now offered by the federal government, distributed through the eligible United States, are available in 2025, and are the best, cleanest, and now cheapest alternative to indoor residential wood burning if that burning is actually done to purportedly save money. Wind and solar as sources of the electricity that powers heat pumps and electric cars is also cheaper than burning wood. The adverse health effects that are caused by indoor residential wood burning also come at a cost to near neighbors, both in shortening and ending their lives, and in actual hospital, clinic, and funeral costs. Instead of being compensated monetarily, near neighbors should instead be able to achieve immediate relief by stopping indoor residential wood burning in their hyper-localized neighborhoods, which relief readings from purple air PM 2.5 monitors used as evidence of air pollution will help them achieve. Welcome to news about hopeful scientific and medical achievements that will also help us achieve the goal of clean air to breathe.
Web 57DHYAFZZFLTC April 10, 2026 Scientist Letter to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Subject of the letter from Scientists Biomass from Forests cannot be regarded as carbon-neutral. Scientist Letter to the IPCC on the topic of carbon accounting for forest bioenergy. Scientist Letter to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC on the topic of carbon accounting for forest bioenergy. Read the letter. Register your interest to Chair Jim Skea and members of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC We the undersigned scientists express our grave concern at the presence of carbon accounting loopholes within IPCC guidelines. The separation of carbon accounting between land and energy sectors continues to allow countries to claim reductions in carbon dioxide emissions that are not reflected in real emissions across the whole life cycle. This has led to a widespread dependency on bioenergy as a renewable energy despite its negative effects on atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide. As we detail below, there have been repeated calls for change from the scientific community and civil society as we move forward to IPCC meetings in Rome the UNFCCC meetings SB 64 and COP 31 and beyond. We call on the IPCC to provide governments and policymakers with clear, comprehensive guidelines on carbon accounting for forest biomass harvesting and burning. The net emissions of bioenergy projects must be fully accounted for, and the overall effects on atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide must be transparent. As you are aware, the annual emission of millions of tons of CO2 from biomass burning is legitimized via rules originating within the Kyoto Protocol. These rules allow biogenic emissions at the point of combustion to be counted as zero in the energy sector. This is because it is assumed that these emissions should not be double counted or counted again, since they should have already been accounted for in the land sector. At the same time, it is often argued that biomass is carbon neutral since regrowth of the biomass harvested is assumed to balance out the carbon released. However, many studies have shown that it may take decades to centuries for carbon released from harvested biomass to be reabsorbed. As a result, net emissions go uncounted and biomass from forests cannot be regarded as carbon neutral. The inherently high emissions from biomass combustion lead to an increase in atmospheric CO2 levels that persist until the harvested carbon is reabsorbed until that carbon payback period is passed. Studies show this to be a long-term process, taking 75 to over 100 years. There may be no net reduction in emissions compared to burning fossil fuels. These periods contrast with the short time frames in which we must act to avoid crossing planetary tipping points. The amount of carbon in the atmosphere will increase as the industry continues to burn forest biomass at the current or increased rate, and even if fossil fuels are replaced by biomass, this trend is exacerbated as existing forest sinks turn into sources, and the carbon sinks of countries are reducing as forests are logged in. Short burning forest biomass increases atmospheric CO2 whilst contributing to the reduction of land-based carbon sinks and biodiverse forests. It is cause for alarm, then, that global forest bioenergy use is expected to triple between 2021 and 2030 in the EU. Use of imported and domestic forest bioenergy is forecast to increase by nearly 50% between 2020 and 2050. Meanwhile, use of biomass pellets for power generation has been increasing in Asia. For example, in 2023, South Korea imported 3.1 million tons and Japan 2.8 million tons. The IPCC stands in a position of crucial influence and power on this matter, although governments are free to decide not to burn biomass as long as accounting loopholes remain. Forest bioenergy will be viewed by energy companies and governments as a climate solution, and the problem will persist or worsen. IPCC reports and documents deeply influence policy making and ultimately the use and management of forests and biomass. IPCC scientists have a unique obligation to use their expertise to ensure that the clearest and most irrefutable facts are presented in a manner which does not leave room for loopholes. The IPCC Task Force on National Greenhouse Gas Inventories 2024 states that IPCC guidelines do not automatically consider or assume biomass used for energy as carbon neutral, even in cases where the biomass is thought to be produced sustainably. The IPCC goes on to say that conclusions cannot be made about the sustainability or carbon neutrality of bioenergy, despite the depth and breadth of the existing scientific evidence, and the stated position that the carbon neutrality of biomass is debatable. The guidelines nevertheless allow countries to count biomass emissions as zero. This is the latest expression of concern about bioenergy accounting in a long list of peer-reviewed papers, commentaries, and letters from scientists and policy experts. Questions and recommendations were raised, for instance, in energy policy in 2012 and in global change biology bioenergy. In 2019, a letter was sent by 200 scientists to the U.S. Congress. In 2020, and another letter was sent to international leaders. In 2021, the IPCC literature has already pointed to the unintended consequences of reporting protocols. For instance, within AR5 Climate Change and Land Sections 2.6.1.2 and 2.6.1.5 and 6.50, cross chapter box 7 concludes that one of the complications in assessing the total GHG flux associated with bioenergy under UNFCCC reporting protocols is that fluxes from different aspects of the bioenergy life cycle are reported in different sectors and are not linked. Thus, the whole life cycle GHG effects of bioenergy systems are not readily observed in national GHG inventories. As a result, life cycle emissions impacts from bioenergy are subject to large uncertainties and could be incompatible with net zero emissions in some contexts. Chapter 7, despite the rapid growth in bioenergy and the literature on the questionable role of bioenergy in climate change mitigation, AR6 surprisingly did not address this issue further, even omitting existing references to the issues of carbon debt and payback in the literature. This blind spot is in contrast with the IPCC call for immediate, rapid, and large-scale reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Ensuring that emissions from bioenergy are properly accounted for must be high on the list of priorities for achieving this aim. There are a number of opportunities for the IPCC to put out clear information and to work on this issue both informally and formally. As you know, the IPCC is currently working on and are planning several reports These include the Greenhouse Gas Inventory Methodology Zero Report covering carbon dioxide removal technologies, carbon capture utilization, and storage for national greenhouse gas inventories, the CDR report, due to be published in 2027, the Methodology Report on Inventories for Short-Lived Climate Forcers, the SLCF report, also due to be published in 2027, and the 7th Assessment Report AR7, the Final Synthesis Report, due to be published in 2029. As IPCC scientists meet in Rome this April to discuss progress on the CDR and SLCF reports, we urge you to review mentions of forest bioenergy and to ensure that the proper accounting of carbon is no longer pushed from land to smokestack and back again. Without resolution, we encourage IPCC members to propose discussion of bioenergy carbon accounting at the UNFCCC Intersessional meeting in Bonn in June 2026, and to work towards the development of official guidelines which dispel the confusion around this issue. We recognize that the 7th assessment cycle is planned with activities until 2030. We strongly urge IPCC members to take the opportunity within already planned meetings and writing processes to tackle the issues which we outline here, and to plan to continue to do so well beyond this cycle. Yours sincerely, signatories, Sir Robert Watson, FRS, former chair of IPCC IPS, and GO7 USA, Michael Norton, Professor, Environment Director, European Academies. Science Advisory Council ESAC 2013 to 2025, United Kingdom. Andres Baldi, MD, MHAS, European Academy Science Advisory Council ESAC Environment Steering Panel Co-Chair, Hungary. Lars Wallow, Professor Emeritus, former co-chair of the European Academy's Science Advisory Council ESAC Environment Steering Panel. Norway, Thomas Elmqvist, European Academy's Science Advisory Council ESAC Environment Program Director. Sweden, Christina Moberg, Professor Emeritus, KTH Royal Institute of Technology. Sweden, Suk Hwanhong, Professor, Pusan National University, South Korea. Sue Grayston, Professor Emeritus, Faculty of Forestry and Environmental Stewardship, University of British Columbia, Canada. Cindy Prescott, Professor Emeritus, Faculty of Forestry and Environmental Stewardship, University of British Columbia, Canada. Kenichi Oshima, Professor, Department of Policy Science, Rikoku University, Japan. Juzen Asaka, Professor Emeritus and Specially Appointed Professor, Tohoku University, Japan. Karen Hall, Distinguished Professor, Environmental Studies Department, University of California, Santa Cruz, USA. Louise Marquez, Retired Associate Professor, State University of Campinas, Brazil. Daniel Kamman Bloomberg, Distinguished Professor of Energy and Climate Justice, Johns Hopkins University, USA. Rachel Holt, PhD, Forest Ecologist, British Columbia, Canada. Dave Dost, MSc, RPF Independent Landscape Analyst, British Columbia, Canada. Karen Price, PhD, Independent Forest Ecologist, British Columbia, Canada. Register your interest. Scientists interested in adding their names to future versions of this letter can register below. Registrants will be contacted at a later date to confirm. Webisode 57DHYAFZZFLTC1 January 11th, 2026. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cartoon 1 of 5. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cell 1. The current government bid for an overall cut in scientific funding to $154 billion from $198 billion would be a plunge of 22%. Cell 2. This week, the Senate Appropriations Committee released a bipartisan package of bills. Cell 3 that largely scraps the current government-planned cuts to federal science programs. Cell 4. Congress will set aside roughly $188 billion for federal research. Cartoon 2 of 5. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cell 1. $188 billion for federal research will only be a drop of 4%. Cell 2. This rejects the current government push to let our competitors do laps around us. Cell 3. Last year, the current government administration called for a cut in federal basic research of more than 1/3. Cell 4. The current government sought even larger cuts for the National Science Foundation, which sponsors much of the nation's basic research. Cartoon 3 of 5. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cell 1. The current government proposed that the National Science Foundation NSF budget be slashed to $3.9 billion. Cell 2. From $8.8 billion, a drop of 56%. Cell 3. The Senate package countered with a reduction to $8.75 billion. Cell 4, or less than 1%. Cartoon 4 of 5. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cell 1. The Senate package includes $24.4 billion for NASA, a 1.6% cut. Cell 2. $8.8 billion for the Environmental Protection Agency EPA, a 4% cut. Cell 3. $8.4 billion for the Department of Energy Office of Science, a 1.9% increase. Cell 4. $6.2 billion for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, roughly flat. Cartoon 5 of 5. Congress is racing to undo thousands of cuts to federal science programs. Cell 1. The Senate and the House are now not far apart for negotiations on a final budget. Cell 2. The House's moves on 2026 science budgeting add up to $185 billion, which is close to the Senate figure of $188 billion. Cell 3, but this cannot undo the damage that the current government administration frenzy of budget cutting and administrative chaos. Cell 4 brought to the nation's scientific establishment.
Webisode 57DHYAFZZFLTC1 January 11, 2025 If science funds are restored, then fund alternatives to wood burning. Cartoon 1 of 5 If science funds are restored, then fund alternatives to wood burning. Cell 1 fund heat pumps that work down to 40 degrees below zero and also act as air conditioners. Cell 2 fund extending a smart electric grid everywhere, including all rural areas. Cell 3 fund wind and solar energy sources that produce electricity sent to the smart grid. Cell 4 fund batteries that store the electricity produced by wind and solar long-term for use in emergencies. Cartoon 2 of 5 If science funds are restored, then cut dirty energy that is now funded. Cell 1 cut funds for biofuels such as wood stoves and wood burning for home heating. Cell 2 cut funds for biofuels such as corn-based ethanol for automobile fuel. Cell 3 cut funds for wood and other biofuels used to replace coal burning in industrial plants. Cell 4 cut funds for fossil fuels as well as cut funds for biofuels. Cartoon 3 of 5 If science funds are restored, enact regulations that fund removal of indoor residential wood-burning appliances. Cell 1 fund resident-owned Purple Air PM 2.5 monitors. Cell 2 given free to any near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner. Cell 3 whose wood-burning PM 2.5 emissions enter the yard of the near neighbor and sicken them. Cell 4 use the data downloadable from the Purple Air map as evidence to shut down each indoor residential wood-burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary. Cartoon 4 of 5 If science funds are restored, enact regulations that make electric vehicles and public transport affordable. Cell 1 reinstate rebates for electric vehicles. Cell 2 fund high-speed electric transport that will be low cost to all. Cell 3 enact fuel regulations to discourage production of gas-powered vehicles. Cell 4 fund research that makes production of electric vehicles efficient and cost-effective. Cartoon 5 of 5 If science funds are restored, enact regulations that make home heating and transport by electric vehicle affordable. Cell 1 do not allow subsidies for luxury electric vehicles. Cell 2 do not allow subsidies for home heating for individuals making over a certain salary. Cell 3 tax the rich to provide clean energy subsidies for the middle income and poor. Cell 4 keep in mind that the Energy Department and the EPA should work to stop air pollution that harms human health as well as slow climate change.
Webisode 57DHYAFZZFLTC January 4, 2026 Would smoke affect the family adversely? Cartoon 1 of 2 Cell 1 When you know you are not protecting your family well enough. When you replace air filters and air purifiers every month instead of every 6 months. Just do not burn wood indoors residentially to begin with. Cell 2 When you are scared whenever someone opens a window. Just do not burn wood indoors residentially to begin with. Cartoon 2 of 2 Cell 1 It gives me no great joy to say this. Smog towers do not work. Cell 2 Carbon capture does not work. Just do not burn wood industrially in place of coal to begin with.
Red Green Fox here. The quick red green fox jumped over the barriers to clean air. Red Green Fox here, ready to sing to you the names of the 2025 major wood-burning biomass industry subsidy opponents. 1. Biofuel Watch. 2. Bulkley Valley Stewardship Coalition of British Columbia, Canada. 3. Kommite Schöne Luft, which means Beautiful Air Committee in German. 4. Dogwood Alliance. 5. Equity Group Foundation, nicknamed EGF. 6. Environmental Paper Network, nicknamed EPN. 7. Natural Resources Defense Council, nicknamed NRDC. 8. Prakaunia Narzexwisystki Istit, which means Workshop for All Beings in Polish. 9. Rachel Carson Council. 10 Solutions for Our Climate, nicknamed SFOC.
Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. Saying the quiet part out loud. Roar. Hi, I am Tiger. Our human asked us to get up from our naps and start Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. She gave us a list of internet allies which we will post for her here.
Hi, I am Leone. It is better for your mental fitness to go to these websites than to go to bro sites for advice. Substack letters from an American Heather Cox Richardson. Substack your local epidemiologist. The Midas Touch. The Guardian. The New York Times.
One introduction. ROSEP. The United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only for home building and furniture building. For just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree. But it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen, and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom. The Eco-Design Wood Stove International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. ROSEP. Purple air. PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.